Welcome. This is the Senior Safety Advice Podcast, and we are so glad that you've made it to a calmer corner of your day. Here, we focus on real solutions, practical help, and the kind of encouragement we could all use a little more of. So let's get to it.
Hey there, everyone. Welcome back yet to another Senior Safety Advice podcast. I'm so glad that you're here with me today. This is being aired on February 8th, and I am going to continue this month's theme of heart health and emotional resilience with a topic that I love to talk about, comfort food. I also love to eat it. But I'm going to do a little twist to it because as I grow older, I know that I also need to take care of my heart. So I'm going to focus on comfort foods that don't harm the heart. And I love this topic because to me, comfort food really matters. I am 100% Sicilian, so food has always been very important in my family, like a lot of families. But Italian food, Sicilian food is, I think, just something that is very, very comforting to me and healthy, I think. So we're going to talk about how I grew up with that kind of food and how good it can be for your heart. All right. So as we get older, when life feels very heavy and annoying and just can't deal with it, comfort food can really be a source of stress relief, especially when that food is tied to memories, families, feelings, etc. So a lot of people hear the phrase heart health and they immediately think, oh, restriction, giving things up, boring food. And honestly, that just makes people feel deprived. But here's what I've learned over the years. Comfort food isn't about junk food. It's about familiarity, about warmth, about satisfaction. And you can obviously have that without hurting your heart. Now, yes, if you grew up on heavy butter food and maybe all fried foods, yeah, that may be something that you may have to not necessarily give up, but change how you cook those things so that they can taste as close to as what you want, what you grew up with. But that type of food with saturated fats is not healthy for your heart. So let's see what we can find that would satisfy you and give you that sense of comfort and feeling of comfort food without you feeling deprived. So let's talk about what comfort really means. I mean, comfort foods tend to calm the nervous system. They make you slow down, they help you feel grounded, and that alone can support heart health for sure. Eating in a relaxed way matters just as much as what's on the plate. One of the simplest heart-friendly comfort foods that I know is warm soups. It's one of the reasons that I love colder weather because warm soup just doesn't taste very good on a hot day, I think. And I'm not talking about the salty canned kind of foods. I'm talking about simple homemade soups, vegetable soup, chicken soup, and my very favorite lentil soup. Warm liquids relax blood vessels, and they're easy to digest, and they feel soothing, and they're usually much easier on your digestive system. Another comfort favorite that can be heart-friendly is oatmeal. Now, I'm talking about regular cooked oatmeal like your mother may have made, not the sugary packets. You can make it creamy. You can add cinnamon, a little nutmeg, some fruit, maybe a handful of nuts. Oatmeal helps to lower cholesterol, and it can feel like a hug in a bowl if you make it taste to your liking. And it's gentle on the heart. I sometimes will cut up half an apple, cut that up into small pieces, and put that in my oatmeal along with some almonds and cinnamon and nutmeg. And that fills me up for many, many hours. Okay, now there's mashed foods. Mashed sweet potatoes, my favorite. Mashed beans, like you get at a lot of Mexican restaurants, or you can make at home, of course. Mashed cauliflower. If you haven't tried mashed cauliflower yet, I don't know what you're waiting for because mashed cauliflower with a little bit of olive oil and salt on it is so good. All of these foods are soft, they're easy to chew, they're deeply satisfying, nice and warm. Oh, they're so good. Sweet potatoes especially are a wonderful comfort food. They're naturally sweet, high in fiber, and very supportive of heart health. I've seen people replace heavy sides with these and still feel satisfied. These are the kinds of foods that I normally serve when I have people over for dinner. And I can't tell you how many times people say, oh, I can't remember the last time I had a sweet potato. Or, oh, I never tried mashed cauliflower. Oh my God, it's so much better than I thought it would be. So give it a try. Comfort food doesn't have to mean heavy so that when you get up off the table, you're unbuckling your belt or zippering your pants or anything. All right. Another big one is eggs. Eggs are very familiar. They're easy to cook, usually, and they're very versatile. It could be scrambled, it could be poached, it could be hard-boiled, soft-boiled, so many ways and so many things you can do with eggs. They provide protein without being hard on the heart when eaten in moderation. Now, I want to say eggs have been blamed for heart disease for many years. I'm going to say decades. I still hear people say, I love eggs, but I know I shouldn't eat them. And honestly, I have to tell you that belief is not only outdated, but it's been debunked. It's usually not the egg that's the problem. It's what we pile on top of it, or it's how you cook it. Bacon, sausage, heavy butter, refined breads, all of that is not good, but the egg itself is not an issue. Here's the key message in very plain language. Eggs do contain cholesterol, but dietary cholesterol has very little effect on blood cholesterol for the majority of people. Your liver actually makes most of your cholesterol, not the eggs. So if you have a cholesterol problem, check your liver or have your doctor check your liver. According to Harvard Health, eggs especially are high in nutrients and mostly low in saturated fat. And saturated fat is what influences LDL, which is the bad cholesterol, more than the cholesterol in food. So eggs are not the problem. Talk with a nutritionist about this latest information. Actually, I'm not 100% sure how long this new information has been out, but it hasn't quite seemed to have gotten to the majority of people, because I still hear people say, oh, no, I only eat one egg a week. Well, that it doesn't make sense, because eggs are so high in protein and nutrition, good for your muscles, good for so many things. But of course, if you cook that egg in a lot of butter and then you add sausage or bacon and eat it with, refined bread, well then, yeah, that's going to be, that whole breakfast is the issue, and that whole meal. All right. So talking about saturated fat, let's talk about healthy fats. Now, this one surprises people because you remember years ago, fat, was the culprit, avoid fat, keep fat out of your diet. But that, of course, didn't work, because most Americans, the majority of Americans got heavier during that fat-free craze. Because what's happening is that a lot of foods that are fat-free are actually higher in things like sugar. And it's the sugar that is converting into carbohydrates, or carbohydrates that converts into sugar, and that ends up increasing your weight. I'm not a nutritionist, but you can speak with your nutritionist about it, or you can research it yourself. But fat is not automatically mean bad. Now, foods like avocado are high in fat, but it's not saturated fat. Olive oil is high in fat, but it's not saturated. Nuts are high in fat, but not saturated. These kinds of fats help the heart, and they add richness to your diet. That richness is what people often crave in comfort food. I myself use extra virgin olive oil as my source of healthy fat, and I use that on everything. I put it on salmon, I put it on my salad, I put it on anything that may need a little bit of fat. So another heart-friendly comfort category is whole grains. I'm talking about things like brown rice, quinoa, whole grain pasta. Now they feel filling, they stabilize blood sugar, and they provide steady energy. That steadiness helps the heart to avoid spikes and crashes. Comfort is often about feeling steady, right? You don't want to feel bloated. You don't want to feel constipated or have diarrhea. You want to feel steady. You just want to feel good. And comfort food can give you that if it's the right kind of comfort food. Now, let's not forget fruit. Now, oftentimes, I know from my digestive system, warm fruit, cooked fruit is better for me than raw fruit. So things like warm apples, baked pears. Fruit doesn't have to be cold or raw to be healthy. Warm fruit, especially on a nice cool day, can feel comforting, especially with a little bit of cinnamon or nutmeg or maybe a little honey. And I've seen people at my dinner table replace those heavy desserts that they often bring, cakes and brownies and pastries, with baked fruit. I usually tend to make a baked apple with cinnamon stick, maybe a little bit of, a nutmeg on it. Sometimes I put in a little amaretto in the apple, and then I bake the apple. And how many people say, wow, I can't remember the last time I had a baked apple. But you leave the table feeling satisfied, you had your sweet tooth satisfied, and you don't feel heavy. And their hearts are thanking them too, I think. So now here's something that I think is important. Comfort foods should never come with guilt, because guilt raises stress, and stress raises your blood pressure, and that's not heart friendly. So enjoying food mindfully matters. Eating slowly, sitting down, not rushing. Like many Europeans do. Europeans will take hours to eat a meal. I only know that because being Sicilian, that is exactly what we would do. That calm eating supports digestion and heart health. Another thing that I see is a lot of people who eat alone are distracted. They're either standing at the corner of the kitchen, eating, standing up, watching TV, or they're watching stressful news. Don't ever watch the news while you're eating. Why would you do that? That affects how the body responds to the food that you're eating. Plus the fact that you're kind of mindlessly eating. You don't even know what you're eating. So when possible, sit, breathe, put on some soft music, enjoy the moment. Comfort is about the experience, and here's something that many families don't always realize. Food is emotional care, especially for seniors. Familiar meals bring memories. They bring connection and a sense of normalcy when everything else around you doesn't feel normal anymore. That emotional comfort can lower your stress hormones, and that supports the heart. Now, I want to be clear. This isn't about perfection. You don't have to give up everything you love. You don't have to eat clean all the time. If your favorite thing of comfort food is fried chicken, then obviously speak with your doctor, but have a thing of fried chicken once a month. Make that. If that's okay, then do that. You don't balance. It's all about moderation and balance. Small swaps, maybe instead of having fried chicken 3 times a week, like I said, you have it once a month. Instead of having, mashed potato with large amounts of butter, you exchange that with, mashed cauliflower every now and then with a little bit of olive oil. And sustainability protects heart health. So you want to keep things sustainable, because if you go too far, too clean, then you're going to regret it and you're going to slide back. So balance, moderation. So if you're thinking about comfort food today, and who isn't, ask yourself this. Does this food make me feel calm? Does it make me feel nourished? Does it feel kind to my body? Because you are the only person who can take care of your body. If the answer is yes, then your heart is probably okay with it, as long as you speak to your doctor. Well, That's all I have for you today. I want to thank you for listening and being here with me. And if today's episode gave you some useful insights or new ideas, then please share it with someone who might find it helpful as well. And you can discover even more tips and helpful guides for seniors and caregivers at seniorsafetyadvice.com. And if you're searching for an aging in place specialist, then please visit our website at aginginplacedirectory.com. And come back tomorrow for more useful tips, insights, and ideas right here on the Senior Safety Advice Podcast. And listen, if you haven't yet subscribed to our YouTube channel or the podcast yet, then please go ahead and do that right now. That really helps us to reach more people who could use this kind of support and information. So until next time, take care of yourself and the ones that you love.
This podcast is part of our mission to help older adults live safely and independently. If you'd like to take the next step, visit aginginplacedirectory.com, where you'll find specialists, helpful resources, and inspiration to make every home your place to thrive.